He's also a guy that's heavily into the legacy program. Everybody knows Mike Weingard, guys. Drake, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Drake Vant. I own Performance Financial. We're a CPA firm, remote CPA firm. So I actually live in Des Moines, Iowa, but we work with clients all across the United States. And really our focus is on the service-based industry. And specifically, we have a lot of clients in the pressure washing world. So what we do that we kind of see as different is we really try to give proactive advisory in everything that we do. So we do bookkeeping, we do tax prep, tax planning, business advisory, kind of anything that falls under the CPA world heading is what we typically work on. And our goal is to be proactive. So there's a lot of CPA firms out there that they'll kind of go, hey, bring your tax stuff in February. We'll have it done in 2 weeks. You walk back in their office, they slide you your tax return and say, see you next year. That's not who we are. We're trying to not be that company. And our goal is to really put together proactive advice for you guys to make sure your business can be as successful as possible. So
that's awesome. So you're not the guy that wants to tell an entrepreneur or business owner, hey man, take that box. Actually, you know what, man? I've got a box right here. I wonder if I can't get that thing out of there, but you know the box. Everybody's got that box, man.
Yeah.
And these guys are laughing right now because how did he know I'm throwing all that into a box? And sometimes they'll have multiple boxes. Receipts go in this box. This goes into that box.
Usually one of these is what I tell them to get. These accordion folders.
An accordion. And separate them out by the months. That way, at least when you go back to do some reconciling, at least you're dealing with 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and you don't spend a day trying to sort through the box.
Exactly.
That's a great thing because I remember using those accordion files and stuff like that. So I'll take you way back before you were born. We had this thing called DBase and Lotus. I don't know if in school you learned any of that stuff. Well, Excel, Microsoft bought out DBase and Lotus, and it all became one thing. There's my buddy Trevor Steele. He's a good guy, and this is like another guy. He knows the numbers, and he knows exactly where we're going with this guy because Trevor out there, knowing those numbers every day are very important. But like everybody, man, I started off with the box too, man. We all started off with the box. Nobody kind of understands that the importance of knowing these numbers. If you could know them real time, it'd be great. But reality is, real time is a tough thing to do.
It's expensive.
But you got to know them by the day. If you don't know them by the day, 48 hours. Another buddy of mine, James Van Handel, right there, just tuned in on us. He also knows that these numbers things are important, and you got to know them by the day. And I'll say this, guys, right now. Obviously, Drake wants your business. There's no doubt about that. I'm here to tell you that even if you're a one-man guy out there or you got 5 trucks, I think it's as important to have somebody doing this type of service for you. I remember I was that guy, man, come tax time. You're sitting there trying to juggle through all that stuff, trying to take that stuff to the CPA. It is so much nicer when you hire a professional and you're able, even if you have somebody else file your taxes for you and you got somebody doing the accounting end, even if you're able just to take that electronic spreadsheet or those files and take them there, that way they can fill out the tax mark line item by line item. They know all your deductions. They know depreciation. They know all these things. I'm going to tell you right now, people don't realize this. If I show up to you with that box, tell me what you're going to charge me if I show up with that box.
It's going to be significantly more. Significantly more.
Did you guys just hear that? More money if you were to hire somebody, a professional, to do this on a month-to-month basis versus taking that box into them at the end of the year. And I don't think a lot of guys understand that. They just don't understand it.
I was saying it's going to be significantly more to bring that in at the end of the year than on a month-to-month basis. We're on the same page. Yeah.
I wanted to hit that home with these guys because I don't think they realize it. It's kind of like, you know what we can equate it to? We can equate it to our services also. If we're cleaning a place more frequently, it's going to take less time. Therefore, not necessarily the person's going to save more money, but it's not going to be nowhere near as costly to clean a place many times during the year versus cleaning it only one time a year. One time a year, it's going to be a mess. We're going to be there for 20 hours. If we clean it monthly, it's a couple of hours. You know?
For me and my clients, the tax return is a product of all the work we've done. So the tax return is easy. There's no worry. We already know what the numbers are come the beginning of January, right? We've sat down, we've gone through the financials, we've done tax planning already. And so when you come to February, we can knock that tax return out. I know there's a ton of guys that sit on this, let it go throughout the summer. You know, right now, everybody's getting really busy. And so this is a horrible time to start trying to get your taxes done, even though they're due in a month, right? And so as guys are getting busy, the guys I've been working with are already done with their tax returns or we're nearly finished because that's just to dump the numbers in. We already know where we're sitting at. We've done tax planning to mitigate taxes already. You know, after when January 1st hits, there's really nothing you can do besides maybe depreciation that can adjust your taxes when we go to file. So it's done at that point. And that's where we try to be different is we be proactive to make sure that once this time of year hits, the tax return is nearly completed. We just have to dump the numbers in and we're
going to go. Hey, I put that form out. Guys, we want to make sure you're watching this to get the form. So the secret word in the form is you got to use the word performance. You got to fill that in. If you fill that in, you're going to wind up getting this great document. Explain to this document that we're going to give away. And then I want to announce this too. One thing I want to do next time we meet is I'd like to run a series on this. I'd like you to run over how they would actually fill that form out. We can maybe do that in 15 or 20 minutes. Yep. And then I'd like you to also have a mocked up financial report that you give a client monthly, quarterly, however obviously you customize. If it's a bigger business, they're going to want to know something on a monthly basis. If it's a smaller business, a quarterly report might be am I right? It would be probably sufficient.
Quarterly or monthly. Here's what I say. So think about when you were an employee, if you guys ever were. This is the importance why I say financial statements are so important. And Ron, you were alluding to this kind of at the beginning, but think about when you had your annual review and you sat down in your boss's office and he goes, you know, Ron, you were really screwing up 9 months ago. And then you kept doing it for the rest of the year. And here we are. And now you finally hear about how you were screwing up. And you go, why couldn't you just told me that 9 months ago? We would have gotten over that problem and fixed it. That's what monthly financial statements do for you, right? If you're not reviewing that timely, you can't use that information to make good decisions with. And I'll tell you this, guys, right now, I've met with a bunch of pressure washers over the past few weeks. Guys aren't doing this. So to stay ahead of your competition, to really dial in your numbers and know what your costs are, so when you're bidding jobs effectively, this is an edge on what your competitors are doing. So my perspective is get that information and utilize that to make good decisions with, because the killer for a lot of small businesses is not understanding the numbers. And we know the statistics on small businesses not making it. And I know the boom in the pressure washing industry right now, there's a lot of new guys. And to really have that edge on where your competitors are, this is where the numbers side comes into play. Now, to talk about the report that we're going to send out to anybody, again, the key word is performance. So if you go through and click through on that form that we got in the comments, you guys can go and get a download. We'll send an email of it over to you. But basically what the report is we got two different types, two templates. And one is for a smaller company, 1 to 5 guys. Another one is for a larger company, 1 to 10 technicians. If you guys have more than that out in the field, let me know and I'll get you a bigger report. I can customize it for you. But really, we've made this report as simple as possible. I got one tab has the instructions on how to fill it out. And then the 1 to 5 employees, each cell that you have to put something into has notes on what to do. So it's really, really user-friendly.
And how much are you charging them for this form?
$0.
$0. There it is.
If $0. You can get better in your business by tomorrow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I talk about this all the time. Some of these guys will be like, hey, Ron, you say this all the time. You're hitting home with it. But I always try to explain to these guys the importance of knowing these numbers on a daily basis. I mean, if you don't know what your production rate is, what a rough estimate of net is, or even gross, after you've done like what I call them the hard line expenses. I never even I always took the three biggest. You would take the fuel, you take the labor, and then like we talked about. I don't think these guys, and maybe we can elaborate on that, how they get the other number to source in there. And that takes a little bit of history. You got to have some history because you got to be able to break those numbers down and then implement them, like you said, break them down by the day. And of course, if you put all those numbers in there versus what you grossed, you're at least coming out with a rough, I call it a rough net. What would you call it in the legal term of accounting? What do you call it?
Yeah, your gross profit.
Yeah. There you go. Because, there's a lot of other factors in there as a business grows. And then he's talking about depreciation values of things. You're talking about all those things. But look at it like this, guys. If I go all month and I'm losing money and I don't know that I'm losing money, how do I fix that at the end of the month? Because I don't even know where I lost money. But if I know when I wake up at 10 o'clock in the morning, because we took a few minutes out of our day to fill out this report that Drake's giving you this thing, man, and you fill this thing out, you can at least know that day, hey, we're not in the black, we're not in the red, or we're in the black, or we're in the red. You're going to know where you're at as far as it goes day by day. That way, if something happens, you go, what happened? How come we didn't make any money today? You can start looking. What is the problem? Is the problem a labor issue? Is the problem they had a flat tire and the wheels flew off the truck and they spent 4 hours in a ditch? I mean, things do happen. But the bottom line, on a regular basis, if you're losing money all the time, and then you get to the end of the month and you try to figure it out, then you can't. You don't know. You just don't know. It's just not possible.
Yeah. And we try to make this form as simple as possible to put numbers into. It does the calculations for you. It's literally the only inputs you're having to put in are your employee's name, their role, how many hours they worked, their hourly rate, and then how much money they brought in on the jobs that day. I mean, that's the base report, and it'll tell you everything you need to know about, did they do a good job or did they not do a good job? And then at the bottom, somebody can fill in and say, Joey blew a tire, or, we underbid this job, and so that's why we're, profits down on it, right? It'll instantly tell you that.
Yeah. Boy, I want to talk to you about how if they understand the science, they will never underbid a job ever again.
Exactly. So
that's about 5 talks down. We'll get into that one because they got to get these. We got to get these basic things down first. These basic things. Hey, this guy right here is a buddy of mine. I want to introduce you, Drake. He's $1 million contractor. Probably I call him the new king of condos. He does a lot of condominiums out there in New Jersey area. James Van Handel, really good guy. You really need to get to know this guy. He's a good man. Good to see you out here tonight, James. Appreciate you coming out.
James, more than willing to connect. Hit me up, man. And that goes for all you guys as well. I'm here to connect.
And here's one of your fans. Must be Dustin.
Yep.
Is he a legacy guy? All right. Welcome to the legacy guys.
Dustin's already had a sneak peek on this form, by the way. So
awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. And then James says, "Hey, Trevor, I don't know if you're still out there. Trevor, chime in if you are, man. Ask a question. I know, Trevor, you always ask good questions. So if you got some questions, guys, fire them up. I'll tell you what. I'm going to give winter shirts away. If you got a decent question, you want to win a winter shirt tonight, I got a winter shirt for you. Just fire away. Ask those questions. We'll be answering them. So when they get this form, and they got to use the word performance, by the way, guys, that's the word to use in there to actually have the form forwarded to you. Fill out the job form, and then you're going to review those. And then you'll get to them. Super. How long do you think it'll take you to get them the form? 24, 48 hours?
All sent out by tomorrow morning.
Okay, so. Super, man. That's awesome. And like he was saying, it's a simple form. I think some guys think that this is too difficult. Yep. What do you think it takes? What do you think it takes somebody in the office? Let's face it. You've got to have a recording of hours, right? That's got to go somewhere electronically.
Yep.
Then they've got to know, okay, if they swipe the credit card for fuel, it's also got to be probably electronic.
So you don't even have to factor that in, because what we're going to do with this form, Ron, is there's an input section on the form, and basically those inputs you can either do from last month, last year, last quarter, and you can average them out. And basically
Okay.
what those inputs, what they do is they break out. So labor is easy. We know exactly what our labor is from the prior month.
Black and white.
Yeah, it's no problem. The things that'll change though is how much, on the job by job, how much chemical did you use, right? That's going to change. How much fuel did you go way out of town? Did you stay in town? Did you hit up 3 houses on the same block? What did you do? So that's a variable that's really tough to tell. So what we do is we break down all those costs on an average, and we assign those costs a dollar average. So when any employee works 8 hours, we assign that cost as well as their labor. We call it the burden rate. And so in my example, I think I show it's like a $22 burden rate, and that factors in things like supplies, fuel, insurance, depreciation. If there's some other things that I'm missing, I've left some spaces for you guys to add those in on your own. But that factors all into one number, so you can instantly know, okay, my guy, I pay him $15 an hour, plus my burden rate's $22 an hour. That's what this guy costs me each hour on average.
I already have a question.
Yeah.
I already have a question. And you probably know this better than anybody. So when you talk about the actual hourly rate, okay, I always tell guys all the time, I said, man, you're not making any money till each person's probably about $62 an hour. You can give me some more realistic number, because obviously you've got current fresh stuff. I'm an old dog. I haven't looked at a P&L on a company like it as far as deep down in the trenches like that in a long time. Tell me, what do you think that is for the average contract cleaning company?
40 to 50, somewhere in there. Depends on the rig that you have, right? So if you have a really nice rig that makes you really efficient, then maybe it's a little bit higher because you can get through more jobs in a day. It's so tough to say really what it is, but here's the deal. You just got to plug in a few numbers and it's basically going to give you that rate. That's what that's one of the huge benefits of this form too, is it knows.
I think you may have answered this factor, but Jim's asking this factor right there. You can see that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so
what we call non-producing revenue employees, right? That's what we're talking about, right? People that are in the office that aren't necessarily out there producing revenue for the company. Yeah, go ahead.
Yep. Take it. These would not necessarily be somebody that you'd factor into this form, because that's what I would consider overhead costs, right? So after you've finished a job, we're looking at the direct inputs to produce that one job, right? And these numbers can be a little bit tough to guess because we don't know what fuel costs to that one specific. It's just really tough to figure that out. So we're doing some estimating, but we can base it off of history to get us to a pretty solid number. But if you have an admin in the office that's going to put this stuff together, their time would not be considered into this. That's what we call overhead or selling and general administrative expenses. So they would not factor into this. This is the direct gross profit from specific jobs. And we know we need to have that because a lot of those overhead costs, we have a pretty good understanding of what they are. A lot of them are pretty fixed, or we get to choose what they are, right? So if you think about advertising, this isn't a direct cost that goes into a job. This is an overhead cost. We can control that number. We can choose if we're going to put 10,000 into it this month or only spend $50, right? That's our choice. But if we're not making profit at the job level, or not very good profit at the job level, that profit's never going to make it to the bottom line by the time we get over some of those overhead numbers. So if we're not managing jobs effectively, we can be crushing ourselves with some of that overhead. So we can do a quick calculation. What's your overhead costs for the year? Is it 50 grand to run your company? And that's your admin person and advertising, and maybe you rent a warehouse or something like that.
I think people have to realize this sheet is not it's not black and white. There's a lot of gray, and it's going to be an estimate. It's because we all know if we can't, we can factor in growth, but then you got to have some record of growth in order to be able to factor it in. Exactly. Now you can do that, but you got to be able to have that track record, because let's face it, some companies just don't grow. Now Jim's asking, you're talking about a break-even number. I think that we're talking about a break-even number when we gave you that daily. I think my number's a little higher than Drake's because my techs start at 43 and the top ones are making 70 something. So obviously my number is going to be a bigger break-even number than potentially what the average guys, and I don't know what's the bulk of your business in the industry? Kind of let these guys know. Is it a house washing guy, carpet cleaning guy? I mean, in the cleaning industry itself, do you really know what a lot of these guys are doing, or are you just taking care of the books for them?
No, I have a pretty good understanding. I mean, I meet with half my clients. We do monthly consulting with them. They cover the whole gamut. So I have guys that do pretty much strictly commercial work. I have guys that do pretty much strictly residential stuff. Some guys that have a mix of a commercial cleaning, like interior or type cleaning. And then they also have a power washing division. I have guys that do power washing and junk removal. So a pretty good spread, I would say, overall. And again, it's going to come down to, this is where it's tough to give a blanket answer, because it's going to come down to where you're located and what is people, what's a reasonable wage to start charging people from an hourly standpoint. Like, what do guys demand? In California, they're probably demanding a higher wage than maybe they are in Ohio, right? So there's going to be some differences there. And then it comes down to what equipment are you using? Are you using higher dollar equipment that lets you go through stuff quicker, or are you using crappier equipment that makes you push more labor hours in? Those are all factors that are going to adjust this, but this sheet will be able to adjust for each person's specific business.
Here's Justin, I think that you're basically saying that maybe you need to give him a call and maybe do a free consultation, potentially not going through that trouble next year, especially when you found out that you took it into your CPA and he probably charged you a year's worth of trying to take it out of that box and taking care of it for you. I think that's what people don't realize, and I want to reiterate that again. If you guys throw this stuff in a box, which I said at the very beginning, we all started that way. Yep. You are making it a nightmare for the person that actually has to do this at the end, whether it's you sitting down and doing it. Show them that accordion file, because I laughed, because that's exactly what I used. That's it right there. Those things are great. Office Max, they're like, I don't know, they're probably $15 now, but
yeah, they're $2 or $3. They're cheap.
There's $2 or $3. I know I was going to say 2 or 3, but that was back in the 1900s. But so the funny thing is that's exactly what we use month by month. We put the receipts in there, much better than having to sift through it. Then we got smart. We started rubber banding the receipts. Like if there were fuel receipts, we'd put the fuel receipts here. We'd put certain receipts there. If they were office receipts, we tried to line item in that little folder, but that doesn't really work that well. And these guys, explain to them about how many different line items and categories does a normal business have in the cleaning industry? Like, this is not a big spreadsheet, is it?
No. So here's, if you can have it as detailed as you want, you could have it as detailed as, hey, I want to know and separate the fuel costs out between my rig and my truck. You can do that. Here's the deal. Nobody's going that deep into reviewing their numbers to have that level of detail to it. A lot of the guys I work have anywhere between 10 to 20 total line items, including revenue, all the way down to their costs. So, I mean, we're not talking huge line items. I mean, office expense can kind of be a catch-all for all stuff that's not related to jobs. It could be your subscriptions that you pay for. It could be the paper that you buy to print out stuff on. I mean, you can keep it simple, right? We want to be able to make sure we can have repeatable information that we can derive some type of information from, so that we can utilize that in the business. That's as deep as we need to go. I've worked with people that have 30 line items, and it's an absolute disaster to try to sort through them all, and they don't have hardly any complexity in their business, and it makes the financials complex to read. There's a lot of guys that just simply don't even know how to read a balance sheet or an income statement, and that's fine. But if we can make that easy, it's easy to train and teach on as to what information you can pull out of that. Otherwise, it's just a paperweight that sits on your desk. It doesn't do you any good.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, Ron, I do want to talk quickly about these accordion style notebooks and kind of give you guys, anybody that's listening, a little tip on if you're just starting out, or maybe your taxes were just complete pain in the ass this year. Here's a little tip that I give to a lot of guys when they're starting their business out, or they're just kind of all over the place. Get one of these accordion style notebooks, and on the first section, you're going to write 2022. All your receipts for 2022 go in that first section. And in 5 to 7 years, you pull all those receipts out and you start over again. But here's what makes your life really easy. Get one credit card and one debit card or business checking account, and only business expenses go on those things. Nothing personal. You don't buy anything for business personally. So that at the end of the year, if you're not using some type of accounting system or anything like that, what you need to do is all you got to do is pull your bank statements, and all of your business expenses and revenue are on those bank statements. And you're not having to go through, well, okay, I bought something on Amazon back in February on my personal card. Was that business or was that personal? And nobody has that kind of time. But if you run everything through one of those statements or one of those credit cards or bank statement, it makes your life significantly easier. Then if anything would ever happen, the IRS audits you, you can pull out all of those receipts and you can go, all right, now let's actually take the time to sort these out and put them together. But let's not focus on that now. Make sure they're all alphabetized. That's a waste of your time right now if you're running everything correctly through either a credit card and a business checking account. That's all you should be doing.
I love mine, man. I bank with Chase. I don't know if you're familiar with it, man. I mean, they got that little circle, and basically I can look at what I spent on fuel. Like, bang, I looked at it the other day because we're all worried about fuel right now. Yeah. I looked at it the other day. We're halfway through the month, and I was like, man, we spent $2,200 on fuel already. And then I looked back because I could look for the prior month, and it was like half of that. And the month before that was even 25% less. I was like, wow, we're already double the amount of fuel because that fuel's gone up 3 times as high. Today, I went to the pump, $150. Wow, it's just nuts. Filled the diesel. I'm not driving the diesel right now. Right. I'm gonna park it.
But here's what this form will do for you, Ron. You can start seeing pretty quickly when your fuel costs are rising. All of a sudden, your profitability on jobs starts tanking, and you go, "What the heck? Why is Joe sucking? Why is his profit per hour horrible?" And you go, "Oh crap, we haven't adjusted prices because fuel's doubled in the last 2 months." Right? All of a sudden, that'll send flashers off in your brain going, hey, we got to change something because, we're starting to lose money or not make the profit that we should be making inside of our business. And that's a killer. And that's why you can quickly be nimble and switch and make sure you're not killing yourself.
Here's another one you never thought of. And I'll pose this one to you because this is good for business owners that have employees. When fuel's been X percentage of production, and you've got that over a big span, all of a sudden now you're using more fuel on crew number 4. Well, there's only 2 things that can cause the fuel expense to go up. Well, there's 3. Fuel actually goes up, but if it goes up across the board. So everybody's fuels goes up. But let's say one technician, number 4 technician out of 11, all of a sudden climbs 20%. Well, there's only 2 things. The guy's stealing or the equipment is failing and using more fuel, and means you need to either repair it or replace it to get it to burn less fuel, or you got to find out where those gas cans are going, and they might be going into the wife's car, the brother-in-law's car, who knows. But the bottom line is you can look at your reports across the board, and that stuff will pop out like a sore thumb. You'll be like, wait a minute, why all of a sudden this fuel jumped up 20% for the last 10 days? What's going on? And you don't always go to the stealing, but obviously it's just one of those things. 9 times out of 10, your machines are probably not operating efficiently and the fuel goes up. Yep. And James just said, bingo. And I'm sure that was Nikki or Nikki probably said, she mentioned about the show. It's either Nikki or Brad. I'm going to put that up there, guys. Little promo. Go right down there, nationalcleaningexpo.com, free technical training event, TChem, in Greensboro, North Carolina on 7/20 and 21. Love to see you guys all out there. Free training event. What did you think of the Panhandle event, Drake, when you came out there?
Man, I loved it. It was a good time. It was fun to meet new guys. What was so cool to me is, I started my business out of COVID as well. And to see so many guys starting new businesses was exactly the reason I got into starting my own practice. So I'll give you a little background. I worked for a large regional firm here out of Des Moines, and for 5 or 6 years after I graduated college, and COVID hits. And, my background is working on clients anywhere from $1 million in revenue to $1 billion in revenue. I did consulting, I did tax planning, and I did audit work with a lot of those type of clients. And what happened is COVID rolls around and all the PPP loan stuff comes out, and our firm basically said, if you aren't paying us 25 grand a year in services, hit the road. And if they weren't even a semi-decent client, there wasn't even a referral. It's, we're not working with you anymore. And I went, this is horrible. Like, there are so many small businesses out there that need advice, that need good help, and they just didn't have anybody to turn to. I knew a lot of local CPA firms that were smaller. They just were too burnt out and too busy to ever help any of these. So I saw an opportunity, and so COVID sucks, and we can all agree with that. But what I've loved about this is seeing the growth of small business, and it's just so cool to see. So that was my biggest takeaway, is seeing all these newer guys out there and getting to talk to them. I can talk business all day long, so going to an event like that is pretty awesome for me. Anyway,
reminder, guys. One last reminder, guys, because we're going to wrap up and take a couple more questions. I'm going to hit that jot form out there again, guys. Remember, the word is performance that you need to get in order to get that form delivered to you. So there's the key word for you. I just hit the jot form link again. Guys, anybody that's out there listening right now, PM me on Facebook that you want a t-shirt right now. You got to do it now, though. Now, the ones that do it after they watch this video 2 weeks from now, I'm not getting you a free shirt. I'm getting the guys right now that are on live. If they want to message me right now and hit me up right now on Messenger, do it right now after the show's over with. I'll go in and get you connected up with the gal that actually sends those shirts. They're the winter shirts. You guys have seen them, Pressure Wash Institute. They're cool shirts. We'll get you guys, it will get everybody one that wants one. Also, get that form. And the biggest thing is take action. If you do this, and they always say, like, what does it take? 20 days. If you start doing something, it starts to become habit. You guys, I want to hear a story of somebody that saw this video, reached out. Now, after you can get the form anytime after this video, we'll let you know when he's going to end that, because he'll probably have hundreds of guys that'll watch this video and want the form. But if you're actually go out and get the form, put it into action, man. Action. Utilize it and do it. It's going to change your life. And I want to hear a testimonial in 90 days of somebody that said, man, I filled this form out. You were right. I wasn't making as much money, or I was losing money on, here's, some guys don't understand this. If you lose money one day, sometimes it takes you 2 productive days to even break even. And sometimes guys don't understand that. So it's really important that you're not really getting buried in this, and you're not out there just working to buy yourself a job. I mean, so many guys get into this business, and I'm going to talk to these guys that are new, the ones that took their 401k money. Their wife wouldn't let them go buy a bar because it was $300,000 or $400,000. But she said, honey, it's a pressure washing business. I can take $50,000 and get started. And she says, oh, yeah. Well, $150,000 later that they blew their 401k money living on, they realized, man, I should have bought the bar because I've already blown $200,000. You don't want to realize that you're living on your retirement money, guys. You want to understand that you're making money at each and every day. Of course, there's an investment into being an entrepreneur, and not everybody goes out there and makes money from day one. But you want this sheet is going to eventually tell you, oh, look, I'm getting closer. I'm starting to do better. We're starting to cover some of our expenses. Our head's above water now. And, we're actually treading water. And then, like, you got to crawl before you can run, guys. But you gotta take action on this form and fill it out and do it. 20 days, it just starts to become, second nature. If you're a bigger company, get your assistants to do it. Get somebody in the office to put the numbers together and deliver them to you while you're drinking your coffee at 10 a.m. in the morning every morning, so you can look at that stuff. But hey, guys, take a couple of last questions. I'm going to turn it back to Drake. He can tell us whatever he's passionate about. This guy, have you just heard his story? He wanted to be an entrepreneur. He doesn't want to work for somebody. He knows now he'll never work for anybody ever again. I mean, that's just the secret. Once you've not worked for somebody, you're never going to work. And by the way, so you know my story, I've never had a job. So I've never had a job.
It's pretty awesome.
I've always worked for myself, and I will never. Well, my old man said, he says, "Why would you work for somebody else to make them rich?"
That's exactly
what he
right.
said, and I said, "Hey, man, that sounds good to me." It was funny because teachers in first, second, third grade, what are you going to be? Johnny Fireman, Billy Policeman. And I'd be like, I'm going to own my own business. I remember I went to the principal once because I said that you can't say you're going to own your own business. I said, yeah, I am. I'm going to own my own business. They sent me to the principal. But anyway.
Hey, Chris, to answer your question, I saw it just come through. If you click on that link, that form, it says form.jotform.com. Click through there. Your keyword is performance at the bottom. You can click on that. We'll send that over to you in the morning. So
we'll promise it to you sometime tomorrow because I know what happens. Sometimes we get busy.
We'll get it to you in the morning. I can live by that.
He can do it.
We're here to help you guys out, and if you can take some time in the morning to fill that out and start kind of getting it rolling, man. There you go. You're already set up, and you're halfway through the month. So Ron, I want to kind of piggyback off what you were saying about a minute or two ago about the new businesses and some of the and more experienced businesses. New businesses. Here's my advice for you guys. If you start doing some of this, this is going to allow you to take over some of the competition in your market because they are not doing this type of thing. And if you're a more experienced business, you need to be doing these things, or the young guys that know all the technology really well are going to start taking you over, right? So both sides of you need to be looking at this. The way I see the industry kind of moving is, historical data in the next 5 to 10 years is going to all be done by computers. AI and blockchain is going to take care of all of that. The difference maker in the industry is going to be those people that can tell their money what to do and be proactive. And if you're not doing that, you're going to fall behind. So if you guys aren't taking time to be proactive and working inside of your business or on your business, not just in your business, you're going to be falling behind because other people, this industry is swarming with people right now. And so you either need to keep your competitive advantage or start taking opportunities like this to gain that advantage to take over your competitors.
People got to understand, knowing those numbers is very powerful. It's very powerful. It really blows it blows my mind sometimes. Guys don't realize. And I'll tell this little story here. So that very person I was talking about that has the 401k money that they didn't think they were living on until they realized their bank account was empty. Okay.
Yep.
And then the horrific damage of spending that money anyways. You're going to wind up paying the government 49% of it if you can't pay it back in 5 years. So it's really crazy. But guys all the time just don't understand how important this stuff really is. And it blows my mind. And I know that Drake and I, because I'm a numbers guy too. And I think he knew that the first time he talked to me. And we're talking about something here that people don't even know what the production rate is. If you want to go look at some of my videos, just Ron Musgrave's Google production rate. I show you a very simple way to figure out your production rate because that stuff starts to come into play. And then we're going to get together later on because we're going to make many videos of this. And we're going to show you guys how by just pure science and math, you'll never underbid a job ever again.
Yep.
Ever again. But it starts with doing this right now, because if you don't know this information, you will never figure out that production rate. It'll all become it's a game at that point. Wait a minute. And here's how we measure stuff. Eyeballs. I cannot take my eyeballs and loan them to somebody and replicate that system. Can I?
No, definitely not.
Can't do it. But like he was talking about before, that's why these young whippersnappers, that's why they're growing their businesses exponentially, because they're maximizing the technology and they get it. They get it. And man, if somebody would have told me in math class that, everybody goes, well, why was math important? I've never really used any of that in real life. Yeah, the guy at the factory putting lug nuts on the thing at Ford understands the number 5 or 6. There's 5 lug nuts or there's 6 lug nuts. But when you become an entrepreneur, it is all about the math. Everything becomes about the math. So that's all I got to say, man. But I want to do another video on how to fill this form out. And I want to do another video just showing them what a financial report looks like the simple one, and showing them kind of what you do to earn your money on a regular basis. And do you normally take clients that don't want to go on a monthly? I mean, do you take, so if they bring you the box, you'll do it. You just charge them a lot of money. I mean, that's basically what it boils down to.
Yeah, if you bring me the box, what I do is I don't really look at the box, honestly. I give you a spreadsheet, another template that helps you fill it out, or you can pay me to do it, but you typically don't want to do that. So I can give you the tools to make it easier. Here's what I'll tell everybody. I cater towards what the client wants. They need it on a quarterly basis. They need it every 6 months. We'll work with you guys to make a plan that fits. But the people that really see good results are the ones that look at it on a monthly basis and actually do the review. This isn't something that you can just hand off to somebody to do. This is a coordinated team effort when we work together to get better in your business, because I can tell you the numbers and that's great. But if you don't do anything with it, who cares, right? You are the ones that need to be taking action with the data that you get. We're not, the days of shooting from the hip are over. That you will not be successful in business if you don't have good information in front of you. And so I can get you the information, but it's on you to utilize it. So like we always say, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So surround yourself with thirsty horses, or make sure they eat a lot of salt.
That's it. That is it. Oh, guys, by the way, too, you know what? I'm going to give a Power Wash guidebook away today to a couple lucky people that hit me with the shirts. If you hit me up and say you want the shirts right now while we're live, I will definitely get you a winner's shirt. And then if you tell me you want a gallon of chemicals, I'll probably also see what we can do about getting you guys a gallon of chemicals. And if you tell me which chemical you want, I can normally get you that chemical. I happen to have 942 gallons of chemical to give away. So we're going to have the chemical that you want. All you got to do, chime in only if you're live. Do not hit me up tomorrow, the next day while you're watching this video and say, you told me you were going to get me a chemical. No, only while we are live right now, while we're watching. You must send me that messenger right now on Facebook saying, I want a winter shirt. I want to get it. And by the way, send me a gallon of F9 bark. Send me a gallon of F9 groundskeeper. Send me a gallon of EBC. You name it, I can send it to you. It just ask me for it. We're going to send it to the guys watching right now. And we're going to get more guys watching this show, because we're going to do this. I guarantee you in about another 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to be on to fill out that form, guys. And we're going to show you guys, we're going to show some people how to fill out that form. Now, guys, you can get that JOT form watching this video 9 months from now. I'm sure that he's going to do that. Some of you guys that were interested in that, he does. Is it a free consultation if they want one, or is it?
Yep. Free consultation.
Free consultation.
Any questions, 30-minute meeting. I'm here to help you guys out. So
there you go, man. And all he's trying to do is earn your business, just like you're trying to earn your client's business. And I'll tell you what, man, I appreciate you coming on. This is some of the best stuff because we don't talk about this enough. We do not talk about these numbers enough. I usually don't have a guy smart enough to talk about the numbers, but I found a guy smarter than me to talk about the numbers. So, hey, that's always a good thing. I just pissed off a bunch of people, but hey, we don't care. No, this guy, this is his job. You didn't tell me about your background at all, man. You graduated what?
Yeah, graduated 2015, moved down to Des Moines, originally grew up in Northwest Iowa. Started my first business in college. I fixed cell phone screens. So saved up enough money flipping people's phones and fixing cell phone screens. And you want to talk about knowing your perfect market. Try living on a college campus with 1,500 kids that drop their phone every day. Good advertising. And if you just have your name out there, it was awesome. I had clients.
They're knocking on your dorm room at 2:00 in the morning. Man, I can't read my messages.
I had one chick break her phone.
And I think my girlfriend sent me a really good picture.
I had one chick break her phone twice in 1 week. So that was a good week for me. But then graduated college, moved to Des Moines, and then I bought into my first business in 2018. I own an ice fishing related company out of Green Bay, Wisconsin with my partner up there. We make like a go-kart for ice fishing. So that was my first business that I bought into. And then now I currently own the CPA firm, and then we're actually starting a pool cleaning business in South Carolina. And I'm a part of a company. We buy startups and buy into startups and invest in the owner to kind of bring them up. We bring on kind of an executive team that does sales and operations and finance on the finance side, and then kind of assist that business on a 5 to 8 year growth projection, and then sell out to the owner for them to continue operating. So I got a lot of irons in the fire. This is the reason I'm in accounting, is because it gives me the best understanding of business, and I'm passionate about entrepreneurship. You know, debits and credits don't make me go crazy, but what they do tell me is really good information to make good business decisions with. So.
And one more thing, guys, on the Jot Forum, this is being broadcast on LinkedIn, Facebook. I got it on my YouTube channel. I will take the Jot Forum after we're done with the broadcast. I'll actually put it into the title, so it'll be a clickable link. I'll do that on all those platforms. Give me a little bit of time to get it done. Might not be today. I'll do it by tomorrow morning. How's that? And you guys can send those in. Like I said, constantly send them in. Drake will stop fulfilling those orders when he feels like he's going to stop. But for right now, we're gonna move on with this, guys. Anybody that sees the video, remember the key word is
performance.
I like that. I like that a lot. Hey, man, I appreciate you coming out tonight, man. I'm going to end this thing. I just want to remind everybody again, free event, TChem, on July 20th and 21st in North Carolina, Greensboro, North Carolina, guys. Be out there. You guys all know I do these free training events all over the country. Next year's crazy because there's going to be like 12 of them. I mean, this year we're doing about 6, but next year there's going to be like 12. Everybody and their brothers calling around to have these events, which is cool. I don't mind doing them. I mean, it's a lot of fun. We always have a good time. I know Drake came out to the Panhandle. I know he knows we had a good time. I mean,
yes,
what did we do? I think we got kicked out of a place. We got some guy almost went to jail. I mean, you know, we just have.
Dude, I was right there, Ron. He fell right behind me as I was going in to go to the bathroom. I heard a thud behind me, and the guy, there he is, getting his face.
Yeah, and they're going to tell us, and you know, people are going to think, well, I don't want to go to that. It's a scary thing. Hey, it was scary. It was the bartender that attacked one of our guys. Man, I was like, no one believes that. They're like, oh, power washing guys causing trouble. Like, no, man, the power washing guy didn't do anything. The bartender went nuts, man. I was like, wow. And I think I felt bad because I think it was about a drink I was buying, and that's what the crazy thing was, man. I was like, wait a minute, man, I'm buying the drink, and the bartender's beating the crap out of the guy that I bought the drink for. I was like, what the heck's going on, man?
We had an awesome time. And here, I'll tell you this, put a plug for everybody else. I mean, if you're looking to get better in your business, this is an event to go to. All of these events, make as many as you can, because you're going to meet people that can help you expand in your business and get better. So take advantage. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything but a day or two of your time to go really learn and get better. And that's what we're here for. That's why we're providing this content, to get better inside your business.
That is what it's all about. Guys ask me all the time, why do you do this for free, Ron? I said, you know what? Industry's paid me tenfold over, man. So I do this for guys. We're out here to help guys so that they understand what they need. So many guys in the business don't, one, like we talked about earlier, they don't take action. Take the action, guys. We're not telling you about this free form because, sure, Drake wants your business, but I'm telling you about this free form because you should know these numbers. You can't grow and go beyond what you're doing without knowing these numbers. Yep. Just like I said, you cannot take your eyeballs, and that's not a replicatable, duplicatable process. You can't say, okay, hang on, salesman, let me just give you my right one today so you can get half the bid right. You know, I mean, it doesn't work like that, guys. And you got to know these. We basically took this thing right now, and I think what Drake and I are going to do is we're going to take you through the very fundamental steps all the way up to the advanced steps, so that you never, if you watch this series we're about to do, you're never gonna bid a job wrong ever again in your entire life. I never bid a job wrong ever again. It doesn't happen. Once you know the science and the math, you can't lose. You cannot lose. That's just how it is. Guys, I appreciate y'all coming out. You have a great night, Drake. Appreciate you for coming out. Ron Musgraves, guys, thanks again, Drake, and Performance Financial. And don't forget, Performance is the secret word in the jot form. Fill it out, guys. Run